Hey, amazing only child mums. I'm for comment, your part-time working mum friend who loves Yahweh, family, and fun. Welcome to the family of one, where we share joys and adventures of raising an only child. Expect relatable stories, parenting laughs, and faith-filled tips. Let's make small family life enjoyable. Woo! Welcome to the Family of One Child podcast. I'm so excited to introduce my guest as I promised. Her name is Maureen. And Maureen is the one, if you've been listening and following me for some time, you know that I talk about her a lot. And so she is my sister, and I'm going to let her introduce a little bit about herself. I'm sure you have questions. So, Maureen, my first question is, how awesome is how awesome am I?
You know the answer
Yeah.
to that. You're a 10 out of 10, girl.
And that's why she is my real first guest. The last week was Olivia. But as you know, we just got to take her in little steps because the longer we give her the microphone, the more she will tell my secrets. So I asked Maureen to come because we all know I need help, right? In this podcast. So, Maureen, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself for those who are? I always talk about how awesome you are and all the advice you give me.
Oh, thanks, For. Well, yeah, about me. As For said, I am the oldest sister out of 4 sisters. I live in New Zealand. Wellington, you may be more familiar with, but the actual city I live in is Upper Hutt. And we have about 51,000 people in our city. Yeah. And I have my husband, and we have a daughter who's 29, only child for us. Yes, so I'm really excited that I'm finally getting to be, you'll get to hear a bit about my story, and just listening to Fofora and I just casually chatting like we always do often. So thank you, For.
You're welcome. Yeah, you guys, this is what we usually do. And then my family, like, oh my gosh, mum is not going to get off that phone. And you know what? I do not get off my phone. And we'll talk how many hours? 5, depending. It could be between 1 to 12 hours per session. And if you're lucky enough to book appointment with her, you will be paying because people are like, you're amazing. And I'm like, well, I should show you the person that I'm getting counsel from. So I asked Maureen because a few episodes ago, I had questions. I answered some of like top 10 questions that parents Googled. And I thought, Maureen, most of these questions I really asked you. And then I just shared about it. So, I
Mm.
think this is what she was saying. And the reason is because Maureen's child, as you as she shared, is she's a lot older. So one of the questions, Maureen, is this
Mm.
one. And I know I have asked you this. How parents have Googled, these are one of the top 10 questions. How do I teach my child to share?
Ah, that's a good question.
Now, I'm
Yeah.
sure I've asked you about that.
You have. So I can answer that question looking at your child, right from primary school as a toddler, about 3, as I recall. So if we start off at 3 or 5, anything under 5 years old, we started teaching her about how do you share your toys or just the things that are hers, and how does she get to share that with her other family members, her cousins or friends, and what does that look like for her. I suppose if I start off with, first of all, I looked at what it is, how I want to feel as her mum in that process. So in the sharing, I'm really, at that time, I was really looking at, oh gosh, how will other parents feel and think about her if she doesn't share, So, for
Mm.
example, one of the things that we taught, it was okay for her not to share a toy if she didn't want to share a particular item she owned. And
And I remember
especially,
you told me about that. I
yeah,
remember you said, and I asked you why.
yes. And the thing is because if she was given presents that were hers or a gift or just something that she has saved money for, yeah, even at the age of 5, so it was okay for her to not share and it was okay for her to not offer that to anybody. So in that process, we thought, all right, it's just like us. I have things that I don't share with other people because they're exclusively mine, which is okay. So to teach her openly in public or when family are around, if we go somewhere. So we gave her an option. So she would have items or things that she didn't want to share, which was absolutely 100% fine. And she selected toys or items or color pencils, anything else that she would put aside. We would put that to one side, whether you put it in a box or something that she would have in storage. So when friends came around or family came around, she would bring those items out that she didn't mind them using, and that way, and that's down to everything, and that left her feeling really good, and it also left me as a parent feeling really comfortable in that space. So it's a win-win for everybody, especially the child, to
Yeah, I
see.
think because I know I asked you that question because we had friends over, and then Olivia's like, I don't want to share my toys, and I said, and I know I said you need to share because sharing is caring, aye.
Mm,
And then she was
mm,
crying, and then I thought, hold on a minute, you don't have to share everything, maybe one or two. But then when you said it's okay to let her just pick which ones, because it's like you said, you don't share everything. Like you don't let people go in your room, or you don't share all your stuff or things that you don't want people to touch. And so
mm,
Olivia's really good with that. But then when I gave you that, okay, you can pick which ones. At least pick some toys. And then Maureen, she would get the toy and she would hit it on her head because depending on the child, she goes, oh, that child might hit someone. So if I hit it on myself, I was like, well, that's just a different level of now you're categorizing what can I share? What is it? Is it going to hurt if that child hits someone? And maybe that's another
yeah.
question.
And that's what happens, and that's what we found with our daughter as well. They actually start to consciously, purposely think about what items or what toys that she would like to share, and also looking at what's really good and what's useful, and what wouldn't hurt their child. So if the child was 2, if her cousin's 2 years old, she knew certain things wouldn't be safe, wouldn't be that good. So that's really good that Olivia does that. So it makes them, you start to learn about thinking of other people in a really disciplined way, but they don't know that's a disciplined way because we're looking at what was it that we wanted to teach our daughter by using this process of, sharing. And that is because as she gets a little bit older, there will come a time where you need to apply wisdom to what it is you say yes to give and what it is that you will say no or not yet. So this is really building on that character, but you can start really young, to do that. And they do.
Right.
And also with our child, it's also she would have certain items and toys because they're not always toys. They could be pens, color books, coloring books, chalk, skip rope, jumping rope, little balls. Because she had quite a number of these things because, we were homeschooling her. And so she wouldn't mind. She would set things aside, things that she would just give away. So if a friend or a cousin goes, "Can I have that?" She would be okay to go, "Okay, you can have it." And out of that relationship and doing it that way, her friends or family would start bringing things that they'd swap. And just organically, they start swapping things over.
We are now
Mm.
just experiencing that in the last year. Did we experience that a lot sooner? No, not really, but in the past year, I think maybe when she was 7, it's the swapping now. She's like, it's okay. I'll take
Mm.
things and I'll take some extra things to swap. But but when her friends come, they know exactly what toys not to touch. And it's funny, they'll come in and they'll stand in their room and they're like, and I'm like, why are you guys all standing in the middle? And they're like, we know it's not that, it's not that. And I thought, that's me, and I should have put those toys away in the office, but they just know, even though Olivia didn't say, but they're like, we know it's not that, but we can touch everything else here because we know we've been here
Mm.
well enough to know that those horses are not available. Okay. As for parents, because I always like to turn it on myself, well, how have I grown to share? It depends. If it's like certain junk food, I will eat before I come to work. I will put it somewhere. Like that
Yeah.
overall, I think I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. I will share with my husband, but it's not like we can wear the same tops or anything. I mean, a jersey. But here's the thing, with my child, her and I should be like the same perfume. So I am sharing that with her.
Mm.
Yes, is that. So it's the perfume, right? So I don't know if you, Maureen, as the seasons grow, do you share different things? It depends on the taste too. Right now, for
Yeah.
her and I, it's a different perfumes.
Yeah, human nature automatically has us not want to necessarily share what we have. And if that's just human nature, because we instinctively we just want to, especially if it's new, we want to use it first, or we want to wear it first, or especially if something's new, or so it really comes down to the context of what it is that you're sharing with your child, what it is that, and what is the sentimental reasons behind that object. Or, yeah, so it's okay that, like we go back, it's okay that I didn't share some things with our child until later. But if it's, so for example, yeah, I don't share my shampoo or conditioner with my child because we have different types of hair and we have
Yeah,
different conditions.
yeah.
So for example, I mean, yeah, because I have mine, she has hers. So that's not saying I wouldn't share it, but that's not something we just openly go, you can use it. So there's those stuff that just happen organically. But if you were talking about food, so my family know that no matter how old you are, the child is, or the adult is, it doesn't matter. When I have my food, I like to not share my hamburger and chips with anybody. I don't want anyone to take a sip from my pop, as you call it. I just want to be able to eat my hamburger, my chips, and my soda myself. So what I do, and my husband, he shared his meal with his daughter all the time. But her mum, no, because that's my burger. So what we do in that space is to make sure if I'm eating a different burger to her, that if she asked, can I have a bite of your burger? I'd go, no, because she had an option to buy the same burger. So what she learns is, and she already knows what it tastes like, but that's also teaching her there's boundaries. So what we did when she was really young is that sometimes the father, her dad, would buy the same burger so she could have a taste of everything, because it's okay to say no to certain food, because because what we're teaching, the lesson is this for her when she was really young, is that some choices you make, there will be consequences. We might
Mm.
we might share that particular burger. I'm just using burger, could be something else to begin with, but next time you get to pick a burger, then you make a different option because your choices have consequences, and it's really light. And I know I'm making really light of it, and possibly burger's not the biggest choice, but to this day, I don't share all my meal with her, and she's 29. So she knows that. And I know that she can also say no to me. Depends what it is you're wanting to share. Yeah, I'm quite a stickler for not sharing when I don't want to, but so is she, and it's okay. It's okay to be in that space, and You make different choices. So if we do, we do. And if we don't, we don't. It's no biggie for us. So now that you've been 29, it really isn't a biggie. There's no fuss. Even when she was a teenager, if she wanted to, she go, oh, can I wear your top? My answer, I remember once as she was a teen, no, you cannot wear a top because she was working part-time. She had a choice. She didn't want to buy her own top, but she was advised by me, then you should need to get your own top. So I say no. And she would say, I remember she'd say, but how come I'm only going to borrow it once? The answer is you had an option to buy it because once you do it, you'll keep doing it. So go and buy your own top. You'll thank me later. So that's what she did, but she bought a different color. Yeah,
This is
because
so good. This is
yeah.
really good because well, I can't talk about that because Olivia's only 8, but those who
Mm.
are listening, they might have an older child. And so, the teenage years, so they might be going through that. So that's why you are here to talk about that space.
I think it's really just, I think what I'm really highlighting for an only child is that it's specific to our child and knowing her personality, knowing her heart in all of this space and what character lesson and growth and building on we were really doing and building on. Yeah, so that's not to say, to mum, I didn't share things or vice versa, but there were clear ties when we don't. And we sit in that space really good. Like, it really wasn't too much of a issue in the learning.
Maureen, as soon as I say it, you're going to be like, mm-hmm. How do I manage my child's screen time? Now, I would like to say, and Maureen knows this, that I am amazing at it. I'm better than I was last week. So I would say that she is a high user of the screen time. But we have, look, I mean, what's high? It depending. If you compared me to my other friends, their friends only have 30 minutes. That is it. And they don't even take all that. But Olivia, we 30 hours probably. I'm saying 30 hours, but it is a lot. So I have talked to Maureen about this, and she has given me data about how to balance it and why. And I'm taking it. Some days are better, some days are good. But this is what we did, Maureen. So on her tablet and on her computer, Jeremy, actually, we have done so good in the past. I think during the summer, we really got serious about it. We put a lock on her screen time. So it cannot go on YouTube. It cannot. And she's like, Mom. And you know why we did it? Because we could not, as adults, say no. How ridiculous is that? We couldn't say no to her because the easiest thing is like, you could just say no. Well, by humbug, we're still working through that. So what we did, we went to Grok AI and said, how do you help? Just put a lock on it. And there you go. So this morning she woke up and she's like, I can't get on it. No, you cannot. And you have to wait till your certain, your hour that we've set for you is like 2 hours. Now, some people that's long, but for us, that's a good start for 2 hours. I tell you what. So what do you think we're
I hear you, and that's really okay because that's a phenomenon that's global with parents and with technology now. That is a challenge many, many, many families and parents have right across cultures, right across the board. So for us, with our daughter growing up, and especially in the new technology, suppose what we needed to decide first is, I mean, it's great technology, but how to use it, and all the appropriateness and trying to figure that out as we're going, because we're all in the same boat learning together and our families and our friends, we're all doing it together sort of thing. But we did restrict. And so first of all, because it comes down to first phones, there are families that will allow your only child to have a phone for their reasons, and that's good for them. For our daughter, we didn't let her use. First of all, when she was going to school, she didn't own a phone. Even when she went to high school, which is our college or high school, she didn't have her own phone. We didn't give her a phone, let her actually own a phone till she was leaving college, which is your high school, and there are reasons behind that. We really restricted her even, and when she did access, there were specific areas access she can have online, and that was to learning games that would build on her knowledge, her skills, the reason we're doing it. And sometimes it wasn't, they can be really, for fun as well. So we did monitor it really, really, really tightly. And we're also mindful about, I grew up in a generation, don't sit too close to the TV, it'll ruin your eyes. Well, we also are aware that you have, your phone, your iPad, computer really closely to your children as they're developing, eyesight and it, and what that can do health wise. So we monitored that massively closely. I'm trying to think how long she would use the computer if it directly had to do with her education and they
Mm.
were learning tools, but just to browse and go on YouTube and watch all that, no. So we didn't allow her to use it for any one of those reasons. It was directly to do with her education.
Do you think it's like an only child thing where, okay, so I used it to entertain her more than I could say more than my friends, honestly. Like I come home, give it to her, and I'll go to sleep. Oh no, did I give it to her to
Mm,
go to sleep? No, I just didn't want to talk. I was just too tired. I know I just gave it to her. And we would do it at the dinner table. I remember giving it her at the dinner table and I was sharing that with you. And you were like,
yeah.
the whole time I was like, yeah. Are you guys talking? No. We're like out, not out. I didn't even know how do you say it, Maureen. We're just each in our zone. She would have a tablet, whatever. Jeremy's on his, and I'm on mine, and we're having dinner quietly, but we're not engaging. We're looking at the tablet. I mean, our cell phones, and
Mm,
she's on it. I'm tired. He was tired. You know what I mean? And I would tell you,
yeah.
you're like, hey, maybe just putting that down just for dinner time and just
Mm,
how about talk about your day? And we could talk, there'll be another like episode. What's a good, if you want a conversation, what kind of, but we can talk about that later.
mm.
But I remember you sharing that. And I was like, what? But I wonder if other mums do that,
Yeah,
or is it just depends on, it's not like an only child thing. It's like,
it's actually not just an only child thing, and that's been shown. It's I think, but if we're going back to, because we all have only one child, it will be for whatever it's used for a reason too, because sometimes with every family's different and stress and what you got to do during the day. And so it's used sometimes as a breath that sometimes mom or dad or family just need to take a breath, just need to time and just go onto your iPad or your gadget and just watch whatever and give me some time to download for the day all this time. So often that's used for that, which is actually okay for families because in the days we were growing up, it was the TV. And the days my parents were growing up, it was the radio. And, there's always something families need. It's like mums need to go to, or if you're the dad staying at home raising your only child, then it's a go to. So everyone has a go to. And because it's it's on your computer or phone, let's just say it's going on the web, and that's okay because it's okay to give that. The way we were looking at it is how then over time can we use this to ensure that it doesn't overcome or take over our human to human, face to face conversation and being able
yeah,
just to look at each other long enough. Because, especially if you're a mum working and you got to go home, do this, and or you've got a family, and everyone's vying sometimes for attention, or where's this, and so you got to figure out at a younger age for your only child, you know, because you need your own downtime. How well can we use that iPad or that iPhone or whatever gadget you're using, and making sure it doesn't end up taking too much of the in-person conversation and relationship building. And if we look at, and you work out the teething challenges as you go. So the more you start to practice it when they're much younger, the most likely then you've got, you know, you can keep building on that at each different stage of their life. And it just gets a bit tougher and a bit more challenging when you, as they become teens, that you want their time and you want them to look at you when they've spent years not. And that's not done on
Oh,
purpose.
yeah.
Yeah, and this is, you know, this is what can happen. Yes, and I remember there'll be days, like especially because we homeschooled her, there'll be days there'll be times I didn't feel like doing anything. I just wanted to go online and do my own thing. And so, you know, which means I didn't, it's not that I couldn't, but I just had to plan that. And sometimes it was just spontaneous because, you know, I have a responsibility to teach her and do all of this. So it's okay to do it. And I suppose for what I said to when you and I talk, go back and have a look at what values you're wanting to instill, mean, and teach and build on with your child.
Yeah.
You know, and so when it comes to, like, for example, dinner time, or it comes to breakfast time or lunch, do you allow everybody to be on their phone or their, you know, tablet or not? Or when you're in the car, when you're traveling, do you allow the passengers, or do you use that time to actually connect and talk to each other in person? Or is it okay? You know, you find the everyday ways you live your life, and how do you fit it in without making it too much work? Because we all don't want to do something that creates too much work. So I just weaved it in the natural. So if we're in the car, that was one of the things we did. She doesn't get to go on, look at her pad at the time. She talks to me. No go zone, using it in the car. And it was a no go zone, what we call a no go zone, at the dinner table or lunch table, breakfast table, for example. And that was something we could teach you from a young age and something you instill. But it also meant, as her parents, we had to live the example.
Oh, that's so true. That's the
That
hardest.
doesn't mean that I didn't go, oh, phone off. Okay, and we weren't taking calls because you turn your phone off. And if we had to do calls or working, then we had to rearrange the dinner time or had to step up to that. And I'm not saying we got it right all the time either. Yeah.
But we're still working on that. That's what I love it. It's real. It's real life.
Yeah.
Some days, in some ways we're getting better, honestly. We are getting better. But you know why? Because that's just the way it is. We want to model. We really want to model her by being the example that we asked her, because she's got to see it in
Mm.
us. Otherwise, we'll be like, she'll just know
Yeah.
whatever, mum and dad.
Yeah.
In other words, we're an awesome parents.
And
We
it's
have,
about going to bed as well. I'll add in.
oh
So,
yeah, yeah.
so if we're looking at up to the age of 8, or, up to that age, then, or even if you say up to the age of 12 before preteen, we'll go there. So we didn't let her go online. And even if it was to look at a children's program on the phone or on the tablet or because we didn't have an iPad then she wasn't allowed to. So there was a time we didn't give it to her. So if she was going to bed an hour, you can watch half an hour of that whatever program it was that she enjoyed watching, then it'll be at least before an hour going to bed because we didn't want to overstimulate it again. Sometimes what I found during the day and what we do you remember before? Those days was tape cassettes. I would put on tape cassettes, started playing music when I was carrying her. So at night, many a times I would play music. So she got used to the music. A lot of it was classical, which she doesn't listen to now. Or as she got a little bit older, listening to motivational speakers.
Yeah, those were awesome. They were awesome.
And that would
Awesome
just stop
speakers.
all that overstimulation, especially if she's hyper from being with her cousins and playing, time to have, get ready for bed. And she's still really had it. And that's good. We'll talk about it. But now I just want her to settle. So sometimes don't go to bed and she still wants to be up late. Sometimes I'll put the music on and it would put her to sleep like that. Time to go to bed. And that would just rest her brain. And because the frequency of the music would slow her thinking too. Because it's all about the frequency of the music, but that's another conversation. You find what works for you and your child because
Right.
it's also got to be usable and friendly user for yourself. Who's the person going to be doing it, looking after that space? So it's really important, like for me, that it worked for me and I was okay with using that particular technique or way. Because if it's good with me and it worked, then I know it would really work with her. The message I'm really wanting to share with your listeners is this. Gosh, do you make mistakes? Absolutely. And things work, and they do. You'll find your flow. If you haven't in certain areas, you can. For us, it was a lot of trial and error before we found what works for us in this space of like sharing and really time online and the appropriateness. We needed to keep going back to remind us what value and character are we wanting to instill in her and to build on. And that keeps us grounded. And when you make a mistake, that's okay. Shake it off. Get with, like I did with fire. And a lot of it raises within yourself. It did with me, like Foz already said. Man, you question everything about as you're raising your only child because you all want the best of the best. You really do. You're after excellence, but I wanted to do it like my husband in a way that built on her spirit and everything else that comes with brain flushing my own thoughts, my own ways that I thought. So it was learning ways that just because it worked for me didn't necessarily mean it was for her. So it was finding ways that I could connect to her in the longer term because she's uniquely her. Thank you.
That is so good. Oh my gosh. You're listening. Maureen's going to come back each week. Every week. Every week you're going to hear it until she moves on. And even then, we will hunt her down and say, hey, can you be a speaker? Because we haven't even finished. We just got the two nuggets, golden nuggets. I don't know what we call them. Maureen, I don't know. All I know is I always call her, but she's such an encourager.
I just want to say thank you to Maureen for being an awesome guest on my podcast, The Family of One Child. And I know that I always enjoy when we get to talk. And so that is just a snippet. And I do say snippet of our conversation because each week is she hopefully is able to come back each week that we can talk about different topics because I just felt like we just got started on the conversations. So tune in when she comes on and also continue to tune in when I'm on as well. So I just want to say thank you to you for listening and to supporting this podcast. And also, once again, send me an email at joyfulgathersco@hotmail.com, or you can send me a text. Just click on the link and to what you're listening. My details are there. Send me a question. Let me know that you like this. Give it a thumbs up. That would be great. And also, I always do this who listens to the last episode. So we had someone from the United States, Berlin, Connecticut. That is Berlin, Connecticut from United States. Thank you. So if you're just tuning in now and I'm not out and I didn't give you a shout out, let me know. Such exciting news. My book about, and I talked about this a few episodes ago, about having conversations about the period, and I created a book, a gentle way of introducing that topic. It's like an icebreaker. It's called the Mum and Daughter Icebreaker series. And so my first book is the period. And so I'm going to be talking more about that after each episode. If you would like more information, then it's on the description after each episode. You can just fill it out, send me your email. I'll send you more information about that so you could be on the waiting list when that book is released. So I just want to say thank you again for listening to my podcast, The Family of One. Thank you to Maureen for being a awesome guest speaker. And also, this is your friend for, remember, you are doing the best you can with the time that's given, with the resources that you have. Take time to make sure that you get to do what you like to do, whether if it's just me taking a nap, sometimes you like maybe want to go for a walk, or even if you just want to go for a bike ride, whatever. Sometimes I feel it's good to take time out for yourself. I just wanted to continue to encourage you that you are doing the best you can with the time that's given, with the resources you have. You are amazing. You are amazing mum for your child. You're amazing wife for your husband. And you are doing great. Okay, take care and we will meet in the next episode. Bye.